Best bites forever.
Hey, what's up? I'm Chef Alicia, and today I'm making this delicious breakfast pot pie with sausage gravy. If you're new here, welcome, and don't forget to click on that subscribe button. And if you're already one of my BBFs, what's up? I'm glad that you stopped by. Now let's rock it out. Okay, so I'm going to start off by peeling and chopping my carrots. So I have 3 carrots here, and it's not really any certain amount. It's just I want my carrots and my celery to be equal, and then I want to have twice as much onion. That is the formula for what is called mirepoix. And if you don't know what mirepoix is, it's just exactly what I just told you. It's carrots, celery, and onions put together. And you're going to have the same amount of celery and then twice as much onion. So you can chop these carrots pretty much any way that you want. The most important thing is to try to keep, the same size in your pieces so that they all cook evenly when they're in the oven. Alright, so like for this little dude right here who's kind of thinner down here and like fatter down here, I'm going to trim it right here. Right, and then here, and like this I can probably just cut in half, and then like this, into little pieces, and then like for this guy, I'm going to cut him into quarters, like so, kind of line them up, and do the same thing. Alright, so that's the idea. Go ahead and get your carrots chopped up. So onto my celery, I'm just going to trim off these ends, which my tortoise will be enjoying later. Trim off those ends, also going to inky do, and then I'm going to take it and just kind of do like long strips like this. Ta-da! Cut those in half, bring those all together, and chop through your celery. Do the same thing to the other piece. So I have my carrots and celery chopped, and I'm just going to move right along to my onion here. By the way, you can use a bag of frozen mixed vegetables if you'd like to. It's not going to come out exactly the same, but I'll tell you how to do that when we get to where you would add those in. Otherwise, just follow along with me and let's do the fresh veggies. So for these, I'm going to go across this direction first, right? And I mean, this is kind of like a home style meal. I don't know what you want to call it, but it doesn't have to be like perfect chopping and perfect, everything. It's kind of like a down home country cooking food. So just go ahead and dice up these onions. So I went this way, and now we're going to turn it and go this way. Just going to go over that a little bit more. And these are going to get moved over here to the side just for a second while I chop my other half, and then we're going to go over to the stove. Okay, so I have a little bit of olive oil in this pan, probably like 2 tablespoons or so, and I am adding in my onions very carefully so I don't knock everything over here. Alright, onions in. And I'm also going to add in my carrots and celery. In they go. Of course, we want to put a little bit of kosher salt. Let's call that a teaspoon. Always salting in layers. Yeah, let's do a little bit more. 1/4 to 1/2. Let's call it a teaspoon and 1/4, shall we? Also have some freshly ground black pepper going in. Kind of do that to your own taste. I love black pepper, so I tend to make things a little bit peppery. But, normal amount would probably be a 1/2 teaspoon or so. Okay, so these are looking really good. They're like right where I want them, so I am ready to add in my sausage. I'm using this today. You can use whatever kind you want. This is like not an advertisement for Jimmy Dean, but this is what I like to eat at home. I think it's pretty tasty, honestly. But like I said, use whatever kind of breakfast sausage that you like, and I'm just going to go ahead and get it into the pan, and I want to wash my hands really quickly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of mash my sausage down in there, and I traded out spatulas, by the way, too, because I grabbed my spatula with my dirty hand. Make sure you're not, like contaminating your kitchen. Anyway, on another note, if you are using the frozen veggies, then what you're going to do is you're going to start off with the sausage. So you just put like a couple of tablespoons of olive oil into your pan, obviously no veggies to start, and just start sauteing around the sausage until it's cooked through. And once your sausage is cooked, you make your gravy and then add in your veggies. I am going to go ahead and continue breaking this up and cooking it down. So this is what this is looking like, and I'm kind of looking in the bottom of my pan and see how it's very dry. I need to make sure that I have enough fat in here to actually make a gravy. So I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. You can definitely use canola oil or veggie oil, but you want to make sure that you have enough in there to actually make gravy. So I'm adding, let's call this 3 tablespoons-ish. And this is not the time to use your good olive oil, okay? When you're cooking and you're breaking it down like this, you want to just use, like, I don't want to say cheap olive oil, but definitely not your expensive olive oil. Now that I have that extra fat in there, I'm going to add a little bit of flour, and this is going to be what acts as a thickener. So I don't normally measure when I do this. I just kind of sprinkle a couple of spoons, but I went ahead and put it into a 1/4 cup measure just so that you at home could, you know, follow along a little bit better. So I did a 1/4 cup of flour, and I did scoop that out of my flour bin, which I normally don't do. You know, normally you want to spoon it, but I scooped it just so you know how I measured. And you want to move this around for a couple of minutes until you don't see any dry spots. You have to cook that flour a little bit, or you'll get like a raw flour taste in your final dish, and that is definitely not what we're going for here. So I'm going to cook my flour for just a second until I get right about here. And then it's time to start adding in our milk. So you definitely want to start where, see, this flour is kind of sticking on my pan. I don't want that to burn, so I'm just going to pick it up with a little bit of milk. You can see it coming right off of there. And it's going to thicken up pretty quickly. Again, the milk is something I normally don't measure when I make gravy, but I did put 2 cups over here into this measuring cup, and I'll let you know how much is left, if any. I might end up using it all. But I'm just hitting all these little spots. See, I got a little bit of dried flour. Pick it up. Alright, so I am going to just kind of continue doing this and getting my milk added in and just watching how it thickens. And you kind of have to use your judgment a little bit and decide if you need more milk or if you want to let it go. Do keep in mind that as it sits, it's going to thicken up a little bit. You can see this is just turning into a nice, lovely gravy. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so good. Okay, so once you get to this point, you see that you can see kind of some of it, it looks kind of like pretty liquidy and not very thick, but as this comes up to a boil, it is definitely going to thicken up, and I might even add a little bit more milk. I did add both of those cups, empty measuring cup, you can see, and I think it's just about right, but I'm going to bring this to a boil and check out the texture before I make any decisions. I'm also going to add in just a little more salt. Don't get crazy because there is salt already in your sausage. And a little bit of freshly ground black pepper. Again, I'm a pepper girl, so I'm going to put in another probably half a teaspoon or so. I have this on medium heat at this point, by the way. Earlier when I was sauteing, I had it on medium high. I mean, is that gorgeous or what? Look at that. Alright, I have come to the decision that I'm going to add just a little bit more milk. So I probably have somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 of a cup there, because do keep in mind this is going into the oven, so I don't want it to get, you know, dried out in the oven. I want it to come out still like a really nice smooth gravy. I am also adding in, what is this, a 10-ounce bag of frozen peas. And like I said, if you're using all frozen vegetables, this is when you want to add in your frozen veggies. So if you're doing just all frozen, you would have done the sausage, made it into a gravy, and then now you add in whatever veggies it is that you're going to be using. I'm just going to give this a nice little stir around, and then we're ready to put this together and get it into the oven. Okay, so I have my glass casserole dish here, and I'm just going to add this in. You know what else is really good in this too, you guys, is potatoes, of course. Like, why wouldn't you want potatoes in your breakfast casserole? I'm going to take a second and scrape that. Okay, so I am just going to kind of spread this out like so. Kind of try to get it into an even layer. Make sure that your oven is on at this point too, according to your puff pastry's package directions. So here I have my puff pastry, and this has been sitting at room temperature for about 40 minutes. And I just want to unroll it and kind of check out where I'm at here. So I'm going to roll it just a tiny little bit with my rolling pin to kind of spread it. And I want to do this kind of quickly because, like I said, this has been at room temperature for 40 minutes already, and I don't want to lose the puff, you know, you got to keep it cold. So you can see I have this nice and rolled out, actually a little bit too rolled out, but that's okay. I'm not going to get too upset and fussy about it. But I am going to kind of tuck these little edges just a teeny little bit, and then I want to put an egg wash right on top. So all that I have in here is an egg with a tablespoon of milk, and they are just mixed together. Go ahead and brush that all over your puff pastry. That's what's going to make it all pretty and shiny. I am going to hit the top up with just a little bit of fleur de sel. This is a finishing salt. Normally I only use it like at the table and not in cooking, but in this case I like it on the top. And this is the kind I use. I'll leave a link down below. It is my favorite sea salt. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of pepper. Just kind of moving my thing around here. And this is going into the oven at 400 degrees until it's done. Alright, so let's go ahead and cut into this bad dude. It is absolutely gorgeous. The crust on top is nice and flaky, gorgeous puff pastry. I'm going to go ahead and use my spatula to take that first piece out. A little bit difficult to get it out, but you know how the first piece goes on like everything, especially pie. Anyway, here it is, my gorgeous, yummy, delicious piece. This smells great. It looks fantastic. Hey guys, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click on that subscribe button, ring the notification bell. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Thank you to everybody who stopped by and watched my video today, and I'll see you next time. Bye!